Well, good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends. Welcome to another episode on the Life Signatures Radio, which is a daily show on purpose, productivity, and resilience. I need to slow down. Every single working day, will you believe it? Every single working day, we are speaking about any one of those three subjects. And today, it is episode number 1562. It finds us in the middle of a series where we are talking about owning your purpose. What are the signs? Actually, we're talking about the 5 signs that you have owned your purpose. What are the signs that you can be identified with what you see as your purpose, what you have said it is your purpose? Can people say that actually that is the guy for that thing? How do they know that that is the guy for that thing? Those are the things that we're looking at. Those are the signs that I am talking about. In this episode, we'll look at one more sign, so stay tuned.
Welcome to the Life Signatures podcast with Lawrence Namale. Lawrence is a life coach, author, and keynote speaker who loves to tackle different topics on purpose, productivity, and resilience. His mission in life is to awaken all your boundless possibilities available in you. Life Signatures podcast is dedicated to bring to reality every single person who knows that deep down in their gut, there's got to be more to life than this. And now, here is your host, Lawrence Namale.
So I'm going to start by giving you a small recap of what we've been talking about as far as ownership is concerned. Ownership is basically identity. You identify people with what they own. And listen, I am not talking about material things. You can own a TV, doesn't make you anybody. You can own a vehicle, doesn't make you anybody. Probably if you own a company, that's making you something. But see, a company is also not like a property or some tangible. It's a virtual something, it's an entity. It's actually a person. A company is a person, an entity in and of itself. Ownership of purpose identifies people, gives people names, right? So if a guy has identified himself, let me change my terminologies, because people normally say, I identify myself as a cat. I identify myself as a woman. I am trapped in a man's body. That's not the ballooning I'm talking about. That's not the bunk I'm talking about. I'm talking about purpose. Calling. Something you're born to do. How can we know, how can you know that the thing you are called to do, you are actually doing it? How can you know that you have owned it? It's yours. And we normally say that there's one test. The test for ownership is simple. When the niche where you are subscribed to is mentioned, your name comes to people's minds. If we say leadership, your name comes to people's minds if you are someone who has owned leadership as your purpose. If your name is mentioned, synonymously, that niche also comes alongside. People come and people's minds are just reflecting on you. That's how you know you've owned it. And some of the reasons, some of the signs that you've owned, number one is that you have products and services around that. You cannot have purpose that is supposed to help people create an impact, make solutions on the face of the earth, and you don't have a product or a service that people are using, people are interacting with. So that's the first thing. The second thing, you are actually using your purpose to help people. That's the sign that you've owned your purpose. You're using it as your mainstay at work. That's what you're using, passionately changing people's lives with it. The third thing, we talked about that yesterday. It's actually very powerful. You need to review yesterday's episode. You are an authority in that area. You are the subject matter reference person in that particular area. You're the go-to person in that particular area. If people wanted a quote, people wanted an opinion, they will come to you. Invariably, very many people have been talking to me about the subject of purpose, and they've been quoting some of the things that I've been saying, and they've been referring to me as the go-to person in the idea or in the subject of purpose. Why? Because I exemplify some of these things that I'm talking about. Number one, I have products and services. I have a book about that. I have quotes. I have what do they call it? I have workbooks, and I have courses around this, the same thing, and I am nearly daily talking about that. I become an authority in that particular area. Today, I want us to look at something else that is a sign that you've owned your purpose. What is the other sign that you've actually come to that place where you have owned your purpose? Number 4, dominion. This is big. Dominion. The Bible tells us in the book of Genesis chapter 1 verse 20, I think all the way from 26 to 27, 28 there, it says, be fruitful, multiply, fill the earth, subdue it, and have dominion on it. Have dominion over the fish of the sea, the birds of the air, and whatever it is. Have dominion. It is something that was given to us. It's a mandate for humanity is dominion. Dominion. And if you look at your life, if I look at my life today, ask myself one question. What is there that shows my dominion? What is there that shows my dominion in my life? Is there anything that shows my dominion? And the answer will come as a yes if I have owned my purpose. What is dominion? Dominion is basically rising up and being a pillar in the area of your practitioner, in the area of your expertise. And one of the ways that we show our dominion on earth is through the ownership of our purpose. And dominion has to do with winning. It has to do with installing a culture that basically rules. Dominion means you're going up against something and you're overcoming it, for the most part, if it's a negative thing. It has to do with rising up against what opposes, what is a counterfeit, what corrupts. So it's basically what you stand up for. What is your dominion? It has to do with a victory over the villain that we've been talking about in these episodes. Because purpose always has a villain. A hero always has a villain. A hero will at some point in time dominate the villain and conquer the villain. So what it is that is going to show that you have owned your purpose? You have dominion. In other words, you've been at it, created such a strong pillar, such an overcoming pillar. You've had victory upon victory upon victory, vanquished the villain over and over and over again, and you keep vanquishing the villain. You have dominion because you've owned that particular thing. The interesting thing about dominion, my friends, that's why I keep saying that purpose is not many things. The interesting thing about dominion is that you cannot dominate everything. Show me an organization or a company that has dominion in everything. The only person who has dominion in everything is God. But you as a human being, you don't have time. And I know people will say, but Lawrence, you are a motivational speaker, impossible is nothing, and so on. Why would you want to dominate everything? What's the point? The thing is, you do not have time. That's why purpose is important. Once you zero in on an area, it is easy for you to start dominating that area. And I'm going to continue talking about that tomorrow. It is easy for you to dominate. Every hero has a villain. And now, tell me, how many villains are you going to fight? Because every mountain or every niche area has a villain that has got to be brought down. If your mountain is education, the villain is ignorance and status quo and culture. You gotta fight those guys. Now, if your villain is business, right? You're going to find that, if your mountain is business, you're going to find that one of your villains is what? It's not your competitor. One of your biggest villains is a problem that you're solving in business. People normally wrongly think that their villain is a competitor. So for you to dominate, for you to have purpose, ownership, you create a dominion over that villain, so much so that they cannot rise up. So over and over again, the villain will keep rising. But over and over again, you must keep rising against that villain, and you have dominion over them. Every time they try to rise, you conquer them, you vanquish them, you put them down. There are many types of villains in this world. There is fear, there is oppression, there is status quo, there is culture, there is poverty, there is poor leadership. There are many villains here on the face of the earth. Those are the guys that we, people of purpose, are up against. And you need to find out who your villain is. And once you found out who your villain is, we will know that you've owned your purpose when you have dominion over that particular villain. You own your purpose each time you are silencing and obliterating the villain in your life that keeps rising up. That's how you know you own your particular purpose. Hey, we've come to the close of today's episode. Tomorrow we will close the whole series about purpose ownership. Until then, bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Life Signatures Radio. If you enjoyed today's show, subscribe to Life Signatures Radio on iTunes, Stitcher, or visit our website at lifesignatures.libsyn.com. Life Signatures Radio, fresh, clean, and inspiring.